That's an interesting concept, but I approve because I've been Olive Garden. That makes sense.
Yeah. Olive Garden life hacks.
You won't believe number 6.
That's all it is. Here we go. Once upon a groove on an old soul tune. I watch the pin move to shape the breakthrough. Who makes moves, maneuver in the right direction? The rest of you get left behind and messed up in this session. I'm not trying to make a difference. Maybe
Welcome to Jokecast Live.
Yeah.
Episode 236 of your podcast style. I'm Travis.
I'm Dylan.
Where a podcast takes place in bars and restaurants all over the world, we say. We're at Don's Depot because that's where we usually are.
Yeah. We're back.
And we're back. It's in Austin, Texas. Great place. We like to do this show. We like to talk about things that have happened over the week, interesting things as they come with interesting people. We have one of the grandfathers of the Drunkcast name. It's Mike. It's Blemin, for people who know that name. His dirty, dirty internet name. Mike's his slave name. Blemin is his real name.
My dirty secret internet name that I keep off of everything.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, well, so now people will know if they don't, you know. It's Mike coming back. It's good to see you, dude.
It's good to see you.
He's in town, Fantastic Fest, and I'm excited to talk about that because you guys you do, like
every
movies.
year.
Yeah,
Well,
every
we
year.
went to the whole thing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're there.
Across from him, we have Kristina.
Kristina.
You recognize the voice. Mike and Kristina usually come down from Dallas. But she's your own person. That's very important.
I am. I am
She
not
has her own station.
Mike's girlfriend.
You motherfuckers.
I am. Kristina.
But yeah, also here for Fantastic Fest. And I'm excited about that. I'm definitely excited about talking about the movies that have come in because they gave me some really interesting recommendations last night, especially that Nicolas Cage one.
Yes.
I can't wait to see that. But we'll talk a little bit more about that after
Always
I find
Just
out.
you wait.
After you always keep him caging.
I'll always be caging. Yeah.
I'm a cat. Sexy cat. But first, what's been up, guys? What's been going on? I mean, I haven't really seen. I mean, I saw Mike recently, ish.
Yeah, you saw me yesterday. when I
Yeah.
came up.
Well, I mean that too, but not for the people who are listening. You know.
It was
No, the
last
last-
Fantastic Fest, I guess.
No, the last time you saw Mike, I'm pretty sure he lost his glasses in his shoe.
Oh, yeah. I
Shoes,
forgot about that.
right? Shoes.
No, just
It was one
just
shoe?
the
Okay.
singular, just
Yeah.
the one shoe. I
that's
still have the other shoe at home. Like, I
dirtiest
brought it
son of
home
a
and
shoe,
everything.
like.
I don't know why. Like, that was just wasted.
And he still
weight
has
on
it.
my trip.
Okay.
We have the one shoe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll find it and mail it back. You never know.
It's like a trophy. Yeah.
It's like Cinderella.
Right.
Cinderfella.
Cinderfella.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have to get this back to him, but first let's turn it into glass. We should bronze that one shoe for the day you'll never remember again.
Yes. The night I'll never remember again because
Yeah,
I remember the day. I was up
Fallen
here.
heroes.
When's the last time I saw you with Kristina? It's been a year.
Yeah, I think so.
What's been going on for a year?
I went to a fantastic film festival
Okay.
in Oregon
Okay.
in March.
Yeah.
I went to the Overlook Film Festival. It's a horror film festival in a
nice.
semi-haunted hotel.
Yeah.
Oh,
McMiniman's?
It's Timberline Lodge.
Oh, the actual lodge. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
Timberline Lodge.
That's so for people who don't know movies, it's the exterior for The Shining.
The Shining, yeah.
the
Absolutely,
Overlook Hotel,
yeah. So and the exterior for The Shining, it was the Overlook Hotel
Yeah.
in The Shining. So
So
it's
the
the
Overlook,
Overlook Film
yes.
Festival.
Right.
At
And it's also a
Timberline
really cool
Lodge.
hotel. It's really
It really is. And
Yeah.
we stayed in like the twins room.
ooh.
And I took my extremely conservative sister who does not like film or horror movies to a film festival because she likes haunted things.
Yeah.
So she was all in. She had a great time. She was a trooper. And I went to Vancouver and had a great time in Vancouver where they do a lot of movie filming.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
happened upon many filming locations for television or movies.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think you said last night. That's cool.
Yeah. We walked, not onto, we didn't, encroach in any space, but they're filming Dragged Across Concrete with Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson
Okay.
That's a curious area.
up there right now. And TV shows like The Flash and Man in High Tower or
Man in
High
High
Castle.
Tower.
Man in High Castle,
Man in
yeah.
High Castle.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So they were full on like during their filming, and it was really interesting because they've got, it's the premise is if the Nazis would have won World War II, right?
Yeah.
But in the current environment, that we're in, even though they're filming in Canada, they had like a huge protest, like anti-Trump, like anti-white supremacy protest
Okay.
on Saturday in Vancouver.
Yeah.
The U.S. Embassy said, don't go anywhere in this vicinity, while you're there,
Right.
because we can't. Yeah, in Canada, they're just like stay away. So for the filming right now,
That'd be
of,
pretty anachronistic.
Man
Yeah.
in High Castle, when they have SS soldiers, they put black ponchos, over them, but while they're setting up,
Right.
their sets.
Right.
So they're all there and they're posing, they're they've got their guns, they're just ready to film. You know, they do their drive-bys, and then it's actually time to film, and then they take the ponchos off and they do this, you know, film it.
As fast as possible.
And they cut, put your ponchos back on, just in case anybody gets offended or like some shit goes down.
What a shame.
So it was really interesting.
That's neat, though. That's awesome.
And the protest itself, just to kind of backtrack my own self for a second, it didn't start out as an anti-Trump protest. It started out as an anti-Islamic immigration protest for
What did you do?
No, for which
How to turn tables.
Yeah.
it wasn't me.
This preface is exhausting. What did you do?
How would you make Canadians angry?
Right.
For which, according to the local newspaper, all of 18 people had signed up and vocalized that they were going to be here for this anti-Muslim immigration
Yeah.
protest, and 2,000 people had signed up for the counter protest. So the very nice Canadians who want to be very inclusive, and this is possibly the most diversity I've ever been in. Like, I thought I was going to go to Canada and just like see like the whitest kids ever.
Sure. Shout out to Justin Peterson. What?
But it was seriously so diverse. Like, I moved here to Dallas from out of state, and I was like, look at this smorgasbord of like variety of people. I love it. Everybody looks different. This is fantastic. And then I went to visit Vancouver, and I was like, I was wrong. This is great. There's everybody. Like, so many like Sikh Indians. There was a great Persian group that blocked off an entire block for a wedding party. And they had vendors, so they invited anybody to come in and like have food and share meals with them and share drinks. And it was just, I just love the diversity.
Yeah.
So the fact that they had 2,000 counter protesters
Right.
sign up and probably 5,000 actually appear, it really just
Right.
made my heart warm.
Yeah.
Did they give equal time to both sides, the 16 people and the 5,000 people?
I'm pretty sure those 18 people fled, like once they saw the onslaught of warmth. They were giving away like free hugs, you know, like they were like, let's have a conversation and a hug. It was awesome.
Some of the 4,000, right? Or 2,000, 5,000.
About 5,000 showed.
The 18, we're pretty
Maybe
sure,
more.
are basically all the same person. you
The
know?
18.
There's at least one asshole in 5,000 people. But those 18 people were definitely all assholes. Right?
No, they were all assholes.
They're all
for
assholes.
sure.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done this year.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's busy. You walked a lot in Vancouver, you said too, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
We'll talk about that later in the show. Mike, what have you been up to?
Not much.
Okay, good. Dylan, what have you been up to?
About the same as Mike.
Excellent.
You're interesting, I swear.
I've actually been to a couple of concerts in the last few months that, like, I haven't really gone to concerts in, like, the last 10 years. And I went solo to a couple of shows in the last while. And then just this last week, I saw Perturbator twice. Once in Dallas and then once in Austin.
No, Perturbator was, you told me last night, it's like the angry...
It's like John Carpenter went metal.
Sure.
But like as techno metal.
Techno metal. Okay,
Techno metal, yeah.
That's a good
description.
Yeah, it's a former death metal bassist
Right.
who kind of went solo, and it's this really dark synth. It's really awesome. And the experience here in Austin was really interesting because we went to what I interpreted as a very country-looking bar
Yeah.
called Come and Take It Live, Austin. So it has a lot of like exposed wood and like dividers that had a lot of bullet shells and guns and a cannon, and it was just very country-looking. And then the crowd is a very metal-looking crowd with like black T-shirts and pentagrams. They're just ready to roar.
Kind of thing, yeah.
And then like this electronic music, just wanted to dance to all night. It was great.
Nice.
Great light shows that like is blinding and amazing. So,
Yeah, I saw a picture of that.
So good job bringing it together, Austin.
We do that okay around here. I
Yeah.
guess.
Come and take it and stay for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, crazy person. Sorry, a crazy person who is walking across the street, yelling so loud you can hear it from here.
You can actually, that's gonna read well. Actually.
I think you could hear it in mic actually.
Yeah.
We should just get him on the show.
Let's go and take our first break. We'll come back and let's talk about Fantastic Fest.
Wipe the dust off the canvas and wait till we break.
And it has the Irish kid from Dunkirk,
Okay.
whose name I can't think of.
Sure.
Harry Knowles.
So
Too soon.
To rock you like am, what a vibe. I got my old soul shoes.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yeah. Segment 2, the Double Deuce. Still hanging out with Jen, still hanging out with Mike, still hanging out with Kristina. This week, it's all about Fantastic Fest, really, because it's such a fucking crazy. I mean, I've already belabored the point of how crazy it is you guys go to Fantastic Fest and just sit in dark theaters and watch movies. It's awesome and terrifying for me. Because I mentioned last night when I was talking to them, they came and we were hanging out for a bit, like how when the lights go out for me, I just fall asleep. You know, like if I'm somewhere and
you might be seeing the wrong films.
Right, I'm probably seeing the wrong film. Well, like if I'm watching like a movie that I'm really interested in, you know, then I will watch it all the way through. But it's like I have this thing. It's like if I'm in a meeting where the lights go out and the projector goes on, or I mean, it's all from high school. The overhead turned on and the lights went out. Like my head hit the fucking desk.
Yeah,
you know. So I have this like natural parakeet thing in my head that like put a blanket over me and I'm a fucking sleep. And also safe from monsters. So it's cool that you guys keep coming. You know. So now like explain Fantastic Fest. Why don't you explain Fantastic Fest and just kind of generalities?
Okay, well, Fantastic Fest, in general, is just it's a coming together. It's the biggest genre film festival
in the
world.
U.S. In the U.S.
Right.
It's the biggest genre film festival in the U.S. Some people call it like the Geek Telluride.
Okay.
It's a week-long festival from Thursday to Thursday.
Right.
And it has amazing programmers that focus really hard to bring you like the most interesting and specific genres such as horror, sci-fi, documentaries,
Right.
Drama, international film, and comedies.
Right.
And I made sure to say, and comedies, because some people get grumpy that there's comedies at Fantastic Fest, at a genre festival, but comedy is a genre.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And especially like if you're focusing on genre, you're not going to... I'm assuming they're not like, well, here's a horror movie. It's like, here's a very specific kind of horror movie because you can do genres. So comedy is probably like fucking weird comedy, right?
Yeah, and we've totally had some. And when you're seeing, you know, revenge movies and decapitations and castrations and really dark shit for a week, you need to have some levity. Like you need something to like break some tension and help you gauge your sanity levels. So you need some comedy in there.
Yeah.
And it also has some great international dramas. So that's like the gist of Fantastic Fest. And unlike some festivals, it's all located in just the one theater.
Yeah.
So like 1,800 people descend on just one Alamo Drafthouse location.
Wow.
And they're there for a week.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's the week. It's the crazy one. I mean, it's like it's so many movies that you actually have to like set yourself up a track of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah,
right?
I watched 30 films. I watched 29 films in a short film program this year.
Sure.
Which was on the low side for me. 30 is a little low. I strive for 35, but drank a little and slept in a little.
Sure. Which is nice. That's a new thing then, like actually sleeping in.
Yeah, that's a new thing. I'm getting old. I had to take a couple mornings off because there's only so many days in a row you can get up at like 9 to make it to the movie theater by 10, and then you sit through 5 different showings, and then you leave at like 2 a.m. and go home and go to sleep probably around 3 to do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So it does get a little tiring. Like it's physically exhausting, which is a weird thing to say about. I sat and watched movies for a week, and I was physically exhausted to where I had to take a day off the next day.
It doesn't sound like it would be exhausting, but it truly is, and you lose track of like time and space and what day it is.
That's the most exhausting thing. Yeah.
And so it's mentally exhausting. You're like, I don't know what's going on.
It's like,
so you
like
have your
sitting in a
schedule.
casino in Vegas and just like for a whole week. And like, what is anything? Oh, here's some pizza.
Got some pizza.
Pizza.
Adam, will you grab that?
So you have your schedule, and that's what your life is for a week. Not the first night, but by the second night, like you're going off your app, like where do I need to be and when do I need to be there? And then I'm sitting and I'm watching this movie, and then I'm out for 30 minutes. Can I get a drink? Can I go to the bathroom?
And can I is a good point, because sometimes you can't because the line is too long.
Because there are 4 urinals and 4 stalls in the men's bathroom, and that is all South Lamar Alamo has for 1,500 guys.
Yeah, I was going to say you have. I like actually. I like that. 1,500 guys out of the 1,800 people who attend. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's his estimate. I don't know. I might be one of 300.
That's roundabout estimate. I think the number's probably a little higher. Probably like
Is it
70,
male-centric audience though?
Like me and the ladies going, "This is Draft House," because we're the 300.
it's a very male-centric kind of thing.
The line for the bathroom is probably exactly the same, just despite the discrepancy in the number of people. Whoa, that's fascinating. So 1,800 is the official number then?
No, we are pulling all these numbers out of our ass.
Excellent.
It's like 80-30% of statistics.
Okay.
Well, 1,800 is an estimated number from an article that I read from someone who did some research. So
Well, the question I had
It's a
about that,
reasonable
about crowd
number.
size. So you're all in one theater. How many screens are in that theater?
There are 9 screens
9.
That seat anywhere between, I want to say, 60 to like 300.
So do you have any problem getting into things you want to see? Or?
No, with the badge, when you buy a badge, you get you pick your own movies, but they make sure to accommodate which movies with how many people. And being super fan or second half or any badge holder, you get into all the screenings. Like you pay that money and you are going to see.
you're guaranteed,
to see a
film
movie,
in
not
each
necessarily
round.
your movie that you want to see, but you will see a movie.
So you will always get into something, but maybe not necessarily your full tract of things you plan out ahead of time.
Right. And you get into all the parties
That's cool.
and all the crazy stuff that they do besides just the movies that they do out there.
So you guys are South by Platinum badge holders, is what you're saying. You're those assholes.
What is South by?
Who cut in the lines and, I'm seeing this movie tonight. So, no, but no, it's great. You guys get to see at least most of what you want to see, though. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only difference between the badges themselves, Superfan and Fan, is Superfan you get your first pick, and
No matter
Fan
what.
you might not get your first pick, but you're going to get into a movie.
But most fans, they do a really good computer program to try to get the most badge holders their best
Right.
first picks.
Right.
That's awesome.
So of the fan badge holders that we were with, one got into every one of their first picks except for one, and then they were able to swap it, so they got all first picks, and another
Nice.
didn't get two.
So you guys have to
She swapped it. And
you have
got
to
all first
RSVP
picks.
for your things ahead of time?
Yeah, you
Okay.
do it the night before.
Oh, it's the night before.
It ended in the morning.
It's between midnight and 2 p.m. They release it, and you do your picks on. They have a little app or a little web page that you do your picks on.
Sure.
At 2 o'clock, they put it in, and by 7 o'clock that evening, you get your picks for tomorrow. So you know what you're going to be seeing. You know how basically to schedule your day, because some movies
That's cool.
won't seat until. Some movies will start seating at like 10:30, but some won't start seating until 11:20. And so you can sleep in a little bit, or if you decide to skip that slot, you can sleep in a lot bit.
We had to do that a few times.
Sure.
Where do you guys stay to be closer to? Because there's not a whole lot of hotels near
No.
that theater. No.
We used to stay at the La Quinta every year at Old Torf.
It was very moist last year.
year was awful.
Moist.
We could have grown mushrooms in that hotel room,
Yeah.
and there was no getting. Like we turned on the AC, we'd open the door, like it was just somebody was running a shower somewhere
Hot
attached to
all
that room
day. It
all
was
day.
just
Yeah.
awful. And then that particular year, there was construction on Old Torf, and we got
Right.
stopped by the train every time. So this time I went to VRBO, which is like an Airbnb.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's home away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a condo in Silver Park.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we've been driving by the ACL stage, and I'm glad I won't be in Austin for that.
That's right. ACL's coming next week.
Yeah, they're setting up, like the main
Yeah.
stage is almost completely built. They've already got their porta potties up. Like they're prepared.
I might be going there for the day or the either Saturday or Sunday, but that's a different
Well,
conversation.
keep an eye out because there were ceramic toilets they were unloading
Real
at the ACL
Toilets?
location.
Interesting.
That's for the
for your
VIP.
bowel movement needs.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Very important bowel movement.
Yes.
VIBM.
Yeah.
The IBMs.
Yeah. That's also home away. Yeah.
Hey, some of those bathrooms in New York can be huge,
Yep.
like enough to sleep in, like
But, I mean,
13, 14 square feet.
They're
yeah.
priced to sleep in. Yeah. Jesus. That's another conversation, too. So just a real quick rundown. What were your favorite movies?
Okay. I had 3 that I'll go over real quick. My favorite movie was one of the best received at the fest, which was totally unexpected because we're at this genre weird film festival, and it's a movie about battle rappers.
Yeah.
Specifically, a white English student who gets sucked into the world of battle rapping because
English student, like he speaks English, or he's
From England.
His major is
he's
English.
majoring in English.
Okay.
And his thesis is about the use of the N-word in battle rap. So he goes to battle rap things and interviews battle rappers, and then it proceeds from there. It's a very strong story about allyism and battle rapping and
You've
jerk-off
got
behind
like
me.
a hype van coming up behind
Yeah, that's
you for your battle rap
the pedal pump
conversation.
thing. Yeah.
My
There's
next
exactly
favorite.
one guy doing all the work. Yeah.
That's true, actually.
That's why they're going so slowly.
I think they're about the battle rap though.
So the main character
They're not going to battle rap.
is this presented in a
They're
documentary?
white.
Is this Mike?
Yes.
Is this presented in documentary style, or is it
No, it is presented in movie style,
Okay.
fictional movie style.
fictional movie style? And
thank
is the main character also performing?
Yes, he
Okay.
does perform.
Okay.
So
Was he
it's-
good?
Yes, it was
Oh.
like it. That movie got a standing ovation.
Really?
With like no name talent, not no name talent, but no named talent. Like
Yeah.
there was no big stars. It was produced by Eminem, but he wasn't out there, so nobody was trying to
Uh-huh.
impress him. Like we just stood up afterwards and was like, that was a fantastic movie. I also saw a movie called The Endless,
It was called Buried.
which is
That movie.
no, that first movie is called Bodied.
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 Body. I didn't think you said it. So.
He did not.
Right. You said it last night.
Yeah, I said a lot of things like that.
For the endless.
Another movie I saw was The Endless. It's a Lovecraftian movie, which
Alright.
features a super dark terror. It's really good. I don't want to go into it because, like,
It's
another
Lovecraftian.
thing about the
Yeah.
festival is you get a list of all the movies that you're going to see, and you can delve real deep and you can watch all the trailers. But a lot of these movies, it's best to go in blind. So for a movie like The Endless, I thought it was really good, Lovecraftian horror, but I don't want to explain anything about it.
And without explaining anything, though, it's super low budget, which I think some independent filmmakers kind of use that as an excuse for like maybe not being a good quality. Well, I didn't have a budget.
Yeah, but this one did a lot of things that were low budget, but they worked to make it seem like it was more expensive to make. I don't know.
Yeah,
what I'm
it
saying.
So,
came across
yeah.
being very
It came across
cohesive.
as it was very good for what they had and what they showed and what they didn't show, like the way they set the movie up.
Which again is Lovecraftian because it's what
Mm-hmm.
you don't see, right? But one of the strong focuses is a brotherly relationship, and about the growth of that relationship and the things that you do and don't say to siblings, and that relationship I think was extremely important to that film.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, your turn now, Kristina.
Oh, it's my turn, but I interrupted him. He said 3 movies. That was only 2.
I'm good with 2.
You guys are way
Okay.
too polite with your mic etiquette. Just shout. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
For those who are listening at home, they just point at each other and blink.
I don't know how this medium works anymore. It's been a long time since I've been on a podcast.
Okay.
She has a list.
So, well, I watched 30 films, so I need a visual
I said
cue.
29 in a short.
29 and pretend punch you can't see on radio.
Thank
Okay.
you for
I
verbalizing
saw
that. I appreciate
32
that.
screenings.
So I watched a
Clever
really interesting film from a German director, it's his first feature, and it was his graduation film from film school, which sometimes can be something terrible or sometimes extremely pretentious. And just like,
Usually
look what I
ends with
can do.
Yeah.
But it's a really smart, slow burn horror that's almost like a dark fairy tale.
Okay.
Like Brothers Grimm, where like shit goes down. It's really interesting, and I wanted to bring this one up because visually, I kept looking at it going, is this an origin story for how Nord became forsworn in the world of Skyrim?
Forsaken.
Forsaken? Okay, see, I got it wrong.
Sure.
Forsaken.
We're not going to know.
Or you got it right, and I just mansplained.
I feel like it's
corrected you.
forsworn. Feel like it's forsworn. So anyway, if you like slow burn horror, if you like dark fairy tales, if you like Skyrim, I think you should watch Hagazusa.
Okay. Hagasusa.
Hagasusa.
Okay.
And name will probably change for American release.
So that was really interesting.
With Jaden Smith.
Yeah. Oh.
We watched a film by the guy who did Dogtooth, which stole a part of my soul, which I'll never get back because it has like the most horrifically imaginative use of like mental control and abuse against children. And then he did The Lobster
Oh,
with
I know that one.
Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz,
Yeah.
which is a dark kind of love story and finding oneself. So he's now back at Fantastic Fest with The Killing of a Sacred Deer,
Okay.
which again has Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman. And it has the Irish kid from Dunkirk,
Okay.
whose name I can't think of.
Sure.
Harry Knowles.
So
Too soon.
so we
That's a
come,
good 3.
we watched the screening, and then like he's kind of a semi-surprise guest. We didn't know he'd be there until like the intro, and he comes out, and it's dark. It's a really dark film about the things that you do to kind of atone for loss and like an eye for an eye kind of scenario.
Sure.
And he comes out and he gets up to stage and he just says, "God bless yous." so when one of the stars comes out and
Most
it's
Irish
just
thing
like,
you do, right?
Yeah.
"God bless yous," for watching this film. It was a really kind of interesting moment.
That's cool. The Lobster was solid, so
So you should check it
Yeah.
out, like
Yeah,
The Killing of a
and,
Sacred Deer.
Killing of a Sacred Deer will be out in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
nice.
So
And we watched absurd things from Australia, like Top Knot Detective, a mockumentary that fooled a lot of people into thinking that it was a real documentary
Nice.
about a one-season samurai show that became a cult classic in Australia.
Oh God, that's fucking great. That's
Wow.
That's my favorite subgenre. You
So
know?
please,
Not-
if that's really your favorite
troll
subgenre,
community, yeah.
Oh,
Look
that's
up.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I saw the idea.
Like
That's
Windy
fantastic.
City Heat, or
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
some regards, like that's why Black Dynamite's so great. Is they told the actors to have certain personalities for the character and the actor,
And
and like that's great.
And I'm
People
glad that
fall
you
for it.
brought up Black Dynamite, great in the Black Exploitation, which brings me to my next documentary that I really love.
Sure,
How did
sure.
you do that? It's called King Cohen, and it's a documentary about Larry Cohen. I don't know if you're familiar with Larry Cohen. Like, I grew up watching 80s horror movies of his, and they were like schlock.
Yeah.
Like the stuff,
Oh, okay, yeah.
right? Like
Stuff scared the shit out of me as a kid.
because it's something delicious,
Yeah.
and you just want to have this delicious treat, and then it's a healthy treat. It's all natural, and it kills you, and it makes
Larry Cohen did Phone Booth.
absolutely, yeah.
terrible movie.
Yeah, that was all right. I
But
mean,
he's
last time I liked Colin Farrell.
A lot of Colin Farrell references today.
yeah.
I think the most press he's gotten in years.
but he's done an immense amount of things, and he started out as a writer, and like you get into directors and producers, and they kind of bastardize your stuff, and he just didn't want to release that control, so he started directing himself as well, but he had no money, so he basically started making guerrilla film. So the films that he did in like New York, for example, where there's a giant pterodactyl monster attacking one of the skyscrapers, it was under construction, so they had people sneak up
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
with blanks, like with automatic weapons, like firing blanks, and just like started shooting
And
off the
nothing.
top of the skyscraper without any permits, without
Yeah.
the crowd below knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
So they were screaming like the party bus that's passing by us right now.
A different party bus, by the way.
Different party bus. Because the crowd thought that they were really being shot at.
That's awesome.
Wow.
It's actually quite bold in New York City, too.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's like,
the whole 9/11 thing.
yeah. So it's a really fascinating documentary.
That's
and I
cool.
mentioned Blaxploitation because he just kind of accidentally like really helped start that like Blaxploitation phase of America.
Really interesting.
Because he was willing, to make those movies, and he didn't see it as Blaxploitation. He's like, why not have some really great action film on a low budget with some black actors and characters?
Right.
Like, let's do this shit.
Right.
So he
They're
started,
black tropes,
So
they're
he
just
started
black
directing
actors,
those,
yeah.
and Fred Williamson in this documentary
Right,
is
I mean,
nothing but
Fred the
soothing
Hammer
charisma.
Williamson.
if you watch this for nothing else, watch it for Fred Williamson and hope that he
Nice.
steps out of your television, smokes a cigar with you, and gives you some whiskey.
That's awesome.
He was
Nice.
amazing.
That's awesome.
We need to take a break and come back
Yeah.
and talk more about Fantastic Fest and the Harry Knowles thing, of course.
Yeah.
But
Mike's waiting.
I have a question. I have a question for you guys.
I have an
Curious.
answer.
It's a fight in 3. So we'll be back.
John Cusack.
I
Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Yeah.
Segment 3. It's a fight in 3. Still think I have Dylan. Still think I have Mike. Still think I have still Don Sipo. We'll give a quick shout out for Don Sipo is a really nice bar, and across from Don Sipo there's a place called Lucky's Pooches and Pizzas. And they have excellent sandwiches and excellent pizza. We set up here at Don's for the last 5 years, and one of the guys who works at the place came over and was curious and brought us food. Not just for the plugs, but the food's great. So
very
Did that happen
satisfying.
tonight?
yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very excellent.
Yeah.
So we're actually sponsored by Lucky's tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. So if you're in the Austin area, go check them out because they have an excellent stuff. Excellent stuff.
Do it right now.
You said you love the sandwiches in particular.
Yeah, their sandwiches are fucking great. They have I guess what the pusha is.
Yeah, and we've had some vegans on the show before, and they've been happy with their offerings down there. So.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
So check it out. So for this question, it's a fight in 3. We have a secondary show called Comedy Happy Hour, and it's something that I like to do. We'll have some comedians on as we do it. But what I like to ask comedians is I like to ask them, what is that thing about comedy that needs to die? So you guys are movie experts, essentially. In my head, you are, because you watch tons of movies and you have really great. I mean, you watch enough movies that I don't know, so you must be experts. So my question is for you guys. And we'll start with Kristina. What's a thing in movies that needs to die?
In comedy movies,
No, 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 no.
Just
Movies.
the thing in
movies.
movies in general.
All movies.
A trope, a
Yeah,
lens
what's-
flare.
yeah.
Oh God, I hate lens flare.
John Cusack.
I hate it that filmmakers try to create a false sense of suspense
Okay.
by holding a certain shot for a long time and then zooming in for a facial expression.
Oh, that's my biggest pet peeve in movies for sure.
Like
Yeah.
Especially the parallax zoom.
I think it's
Yeah,
boring.
The Spielberg zoom.
And no matter what kind of tense music you put to it, for me personally, it just stays boring.
It stays boring. Yeah.
I watched a film that everyone just applauded because it's this great horror film, and actually it was a secret screening at the Overlook Film Festival. It Comes at Night.
Okay.
So I was really excited because the trailers were really tense for me, and I was so excited to find out what comes at night.
Right.
So I feel like it was a little bit of false advertising because it was definitely a very different movie
Okay.
than what was presented.
Spoilers, nothing comes at night.
Okay.
But yeah, it just tried to force that suspense on me as a viewer, and still other people loved it. For me, I'm like, you just can't hold a shot and zoom in and make it suspenseful.
Sure.
I hate that.
Just it's like 90 minutes of foreplay and you left the bedroom, right?
Yeah, I'm just
So you're looking at it from the cinematography side, the thematic side, or the actual content of the movie? Was it so distracting it takes you away from the story?
I got bored. So yeah, it took me away from the story.
Because it was so forced with the shots and the setups and
Long
Yeah,
shots,
I'm just-
organic shots. Yeah.
I'm like,
No, that's a thing only a movie lover can do, and I applaud that.
Well, that's always been my one rule for making a movie. My one rule is get on with it. There's times when a long established shot or a long presented thing can add to the drama, but you got to know what the fuck you're doing.
and I've got
Or
good
be a
examples of
goddamn
where it
genius.
works.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Where does it work?
no. It worked in All You Can Eat Buddha.
Okay. One of the movies you saw recently. Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Because
You wanna talk about that?
Sure. That's a film that didn't necessarily have a character-driven plot. It was more surreal and abstract, and the long held shots, and specifically the framing and color contrast in those held shots, is what is evoking the emotion in you. So if you sit back and just let that film wash over you and not try to figure out what's going on,
Right.
and the director, used reflective lighting really well in those. So it was a combination of all of those things that worked together for that held shot, maybe with a slow zoom.
Yep.
I've been drinking. That really worked because it was a visually driven film. So that's when it works. But when it's not a visually driven film, when it's supposed to be
Right.
a suspense driven film,
Right.
that just doesn't work.
Okay. I've always had a problem with Boogie Nights.
Because you didn't see his dick.
Well, no, you do eventually. You know, it's beautiful. No. The thing I did not like about that movie specifically was the drug deal scene. It's a really extended, over dramatic shot of just watching Mark Wahlberg's face as he's waiting for something to happen.
Okay, yeah.
And that actually ruined the entire movie for me. But I wouldn't consider that a visually driven movie as much as I figured it was like not a character piece. I mean, what is Boogie Nights really like if we're looking at it critically?
I will throw that back just a second because it is a very visual movie.
It is visual, but is it a visual movie?
No,
But it's the same as
that's what I'm plotting. I'm volleying for your
Yeah.
your spike later.
Right.
It's a good.
Right. Okay. Kitty. But yeah. Okay. And what was the Buddha movie again? What was it called again?
All You Can Eat Buddha.
All You Can Eat Buddha. Okay.
French-Canadian film set in Cuba.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, let me process.
Yeah. He's a
Plantain poutine, maybe. Yeah.
he's a DP by trade, and this is his first feature.
Okay.
And him having a DP background, it just really shows on film because
Right.
it's beautiful to look at, even if you don't know what the hell is going on.
Sure.
Like, if you're the type of person who liked Mother or you liked High Rise from Ben Wheatley,
Right.
so it's something that you can leave confused with but still enjoy.
Right.
It's a great film.
That you want to talk about later too.
Yeah.
But that's an important thing about.
But if
movies.
you need something in a tidy bow, then
Right.
you need to just never see that ever because
Sure.
you will just be frustrated and wonder, did this man turn into a cephalopod? I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just glad they still make movies
Spoilers.
like
Yeah.
because movies are visual mediums, and if you don't have the visual thing, no. Not everything has to be a blockbuster that makes $100 million that has lens flare and blowing up robots and shit.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just glad there's still movies out there that
Yeah, it would implode without. Yeah.
like, hey, I'm a cinematographer who's gonna make a movie that's pretty because it evokes emotion with color, and that's also a movie.
Yeah.
Thank you for making those things.
Yeah.
Well, every shot. I mean, like
need a balance.
Well, I'll ask about that later. But,
Okay.
Now it's up to Mike. Mike, what do you think is a thing in movies that needs a day?
Shaky cam in movies that are not found footage can fuck itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like present the scene with very, very few exceptions. If you're shaking the camera, it's because something's wrong with your movie. Like you need to frame it better, you need to present it better, you need better effects, you need better actors, you need something, you need a better script, you need better directing.
Yeah.
Don't shake your camera just to make me try and feel an emotion.
Right.
How shaky are we talking? Like Paul Greengrass in every Bourne movie where I am shaking because it invokes
It
action
invokes
and emotion.
action. It invokes action. It's like,
Yeah.
oh look, it's really frenetic energy because look, they're fighting and you can't see it straight.
I'm with you on that.
I hate that so
I'm with
much
you on
too.
that.
That's a big movie scene too.
Especially after seeing Brawl in Cell Block 99, where all the action scenes are presented in full. It's really it's going to be hard to go back and watch another action movie like where they're just where it's frenetic editing, where they cut back and forth, where they're shaking the camera, and just trying to present this as way more over the top actiony than it actually is. Like because if you stopped the camera shaking, if you kept it in one cut, your scene would probably look like shit.
Yep. Yep.
I like it. Good call.
Christina has a point to make.
And piggybacking on your Brawl in Cell Block 99, that had some amazing physical effects in it.
Practical.
Practical,
effects.
physical and practical effects, yeah.
Visual practical effects.
So
They
what is
were
what is Brawl?
amazing.
Tell us more. Apparently, you both like this movie, so
Okay, so
Well, like
last year or 2 years ago, a movie called Bone Tomahawk came out. I don't know if either of y'all saw that movie.
I didn't see
know
it,
that,
but
I
I'm
haven't
familiar
seen
with
it.
it's a western with troglodytes. What?
So basically, it's a very character-driven movie for about 3/4 of it, and then it turns into horrifically violent movie with super dark everything. This is if you like the violent parts of that movie and didn't like the character-driven story
Or the
talky
dialogue.
parts,
Yeah.
you'll love Brawl and Cell Block 99 because they knocked out all that dialogue and they're like, we're gonna give you about an hour setup and then we're just gonna let Vince Vaughn like break people. I will say this is
Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn,
Vince
This
Vaughn.
is Vince Vaughn's best movie.
And
The
a
movie
head-stomping
Kristina
good
was
time.
talking about that she was watching get filmed. What was that?
Dragged across concrete.
It's going to be the next movie directed by this guy, also starring Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson.
So Vince Vaughn is kind of a badass and has a fight scene.
Coordinated action, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
He
you know,
uses his 6'5" large frame in a very impressive way.
and saying this is the best thing I've seen Vince Vaughn in is, subjective because either
There's
you
not that.
like him, you don't like him.
Well, this sounds very out of character for the Vince Vaughn character of the smart talking, smarmy, blah 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 blah. blah.
Yeah,
Well, since True
there's
Detective season 2, right?
I still haven't seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's basically like that was
Okay.
his first step of like.
Yeah, that was his first step towards this direction.
Yeah.
Like
Wow,
this is
okay.
much more drama, much more
And it's
like acting and not just hey, I'm smarmy Vince
Yeah.
Vaughn, blah 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 blah.
I can talk fast and wisecrack.
but it's solid.
It's solid flick. I liked it. Thumbs up. Recommend.
Nice.
I like it for the practical effects.
4 out of 5
Because I
firecrackers,
love
yeah.
violent
Yeah.
movies.
Well, yeah, so you have practical effects, good camera work that's not crappy, shaky cam. Yeah, I'm sold.
And confidence in your stuff.
Yeah.
I want to bring up Nerd Writer and Every Frame of Painting, both great YouTube channels. Every Frame of Painting is fucking wonderful when it comes to movies. But they both on two different videos brought up the idea between like American and everywhere else action, especially Asian action films or
Okay.
Asian like martial arts specifically, of how you'll like there's just this problem in America where maybe it's an insurance issue, maybe they're like really worried about actually trying to land a punch, so they'll cut away from it really quickly. And so like having established shots for action is like it's rare and it's fucking great when it happens. Like I mean the difference between like watching fucking Rush Hour, or Old Boy, the original Old Boy, like just and we lose
That-
our minds for even like Daredevil's
That
like
one-shot track scene in The Old Boy is just amazing.
oh, it's amazing.
The
It's
hallway.
amazing. And because it feels like there's more tension to it. And
Oh,
without
yeah.
tension, you can't really lead a plot anywhere, in my opinion. Like you can kind of do it, but it's like at some point you go, and that's you can get really, really fatigued by action in movies. And the same thing with fucking. That's the reason why Kingsman was so frustrating. Was like within the first 35 seconds, it's just like stuff is happening, and you don't really see how the stuff is going to finish, but it just keeps fucking happening. And like, I want to take a nap. I
As
just want to go
opposed
to sleep.
Like the scene in the first one in the church.
Yes.
So
That's
great.
a very good example
So
of
great.
like even
Having confidence.
even if they did shaky cam in that scene, I didn't realize it because I was so focused on this cut, this one.
Yeah.
Was it one cut? Was it one take?
It was
It-
faked one.
Fake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
edited to look like it, but
Yeah.
it was it edited really well.
Yeah, it was edited really well, and you cared, and you had been brought up to care about that character.
And then you're
then-
probably shocked when it started to happen because I don't think
Like,
the
it came out of
average
nowhere.
moviegoer
Yeah.
was prepared to see that level of violence in a
And
church.
the choice of
in a
soundtrack is wonderful
British-
and obscure.
Yeah, yeah.
And all the actions cut to the beat of the song.
It was brilliant.
Oh God.
And then, of course, Sam Jackson throws up later at the end. I can't be violent.
Sam Jackson's so good in that.
That means we're out of time. Let's go ahead and take a final break. We'll come back and finish up anything we haven't talked about, and we'll do some shots, and then go mingle with the stranger.
Wipe the dust off the canvas and wait till we break like.
Started
And his
coming.
little hands freak me out.
And the night's new, what a feeling, what a nice mood. A bam, boom, rock, we're here to rock you. It's like
Ready?
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yeah. Segment 4 is the toast segment. This is when we have toast in front of us, where we have shots in front of us when we do a toast.
Yeah.
This is also the time where we can cover anything that we missed this week. I'm sure that you guys have other movies that you want to talk about.
Yeah, there was a list apparently of things, and thing.
Such
and stuff.
I mean, obviously, there was a controversy around Fantastic Fest, and Ain't It Cool News, and,
Yeah.
et cetera. We can talk about that if you guys want to.
Oh, I would love to.
Let's talk about
Okay,
it
so
because I was
explain it.
really
If
If
frustrated.
you guys were actually there.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was the
We didn't
conversation
know-
that was being had at the festival, so we can talk about it here.
Sure.
We should talk
So
about
yeah,
it.
on the
Yeah.
outside, all we heard was
we don't really know. So
on the outside we heard a couple of blurbs about I guess the one writer, and then Harry Knowles.
right.
Devin Farici.
So what happened? Explain it for people who have zero idea.
Well, I mean, if I'm mispronouncing it, then that's even better.
Okay.
Do you want to explain this? You read up more on it than I about what set this off.
Okay. All right.
I was
this
involved
is-
in the Facebook drama, but you've actually read more.
So
of
fake
this.
news.
and there are people like, okay, so this is my 9th, maybe 10th year at Fantastic Fest. So these are all people that, I've met and had interactions with, and already had a distaste in my mouth for because of the way that they would talk to people. So, Trump's whole, grab them by the pussy thing, really made a lot of normal people upset that he would say that that's a good thing and that's like locker room talk that's
Right.
normal.
Right.
So, Devin's making his anti-Trump, kind of tweets and a woman in just a genuine, response to that said, well, what about the time in 2005 when you, uninvited grabbed me by the pussy and bragged about it to your friends? So he, on Twitter, says, I don't recall that happening. If it happened, I apologize. And then he just kind of Twitter quit. And it was something that was so public, and because he knew he couldn't deny it, because he has had a long history of, alcoholism. And from my own,
Who is this again?
Devin Faraci, from my own,
Devin Potato.
I followed him on Twitter for a while, and I had stopped following on Twitter long before because he would aggressively come after fellow critics, fellow people in the film industry, fellow bloggers, in a real nasty, aggressive ways. He told one guy that I know personally, who is very bipolar, to kill himself.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a class act.
Yeah, and this guy genuinely was a suicidal type person who needed some help and was trying to get help, and then this a-hole is like, just go fucking kill yourself and get it over with.
Didn't need the
you know?
confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had long since completely disassociated myself with anything of this person.
Right.
I stopped following him on Twitter. I didn't talk to him. I mean, not that we were ever friendly. I mean, I just knew who he was, followed him, saw who he really was, and stopped following.
Yeah,
Right.
like we've seen him at the festival for every year since we started
And his
coming.
little hands freak me out.
Not Trump,
Not Trump, yeah.
No.
but they have that in common, I guess.
I mean, I'm starting to not trust people with little hands now.
Well,
Like-
carnies.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, so he's a known bully. He's a known internet bully. He's a known bully in person.
Yeah.
And then this allegation came up, which he couldn't deny and admitted that he couldn't deny it. So then, the Draft House and he did what seemed to be the right thing, which was remove him as being editor-in-chief of Birth Movie Stuff. And he says that he stepped down, and then we find out 2 weeks before Fantastic Fest that silently, within a month after the disassociation or the employment termination, that Tim League had hired him back in a less public role. So he was writing copy this whole time.
Right.
Which was discovered when somebody found it in the Fantastic
And the Fantastic Fest guy.
Fest program.
So
His
less
name
than a
on the
year
board.
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
this has happened, and there's the whole, and there was also there's a parallel because there was also some allegations of sexual abuse at Cinefamily, which is another film family. So there's multiple allegations going on within our intimate film family. So emotions are raw.
Well,
And-
Alamo publicly dismissed him, so we had to make a
Yes,
decision.
yeah.
And
So
then
they very
it's-
publicly.
Yeah, very publicly. Like Tim Lee came out was like, "I'm sorry, we made bad decisions. I didn't know what was going on."
Yeah.
Then they bring him back over
Privately.
the table. Yeah, that's kind of
It is, and
that sucks. Yeah.
I feel like
At least.
in my heart of hearts,
Sketch.
It should be a sketch.
Very sketch.
In my heart of hearts, I feel like it's Tim still thinking that he's like a mom and pop shop and still having that friendship, relationship with
Right,
employees and
right,
trying to help people maybe he's trying to help him with insurance. Maybe he's trying to help him get you know
Yeah.
rehabilitation. But the fact that he kept
People
it
smell
secret
cronyism really, really quickly, though.
really
Yeah.
fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But when you publicly dismiss somebody, then bring him back under the table.
Yeah, no, it's the
There
keeping
is
under
the-
the table that really, like when I
Yeah.
found that
Yeah.
out, I was
Yeah.
like, oof.
Yeah.
And then there was a Vancouver film critic, Kat, who released some emails from Tim where she had said, you know, well, he had done these things to me, and he had not had a physical assault with her, but had a verbal thing.
Locker room talk.
And she had brought it to Tim's attention, and Tim had replied back late because he was on vacation, but at least replied back. But
Sure. Doesn't look better, but it's not really
you know,
important,
thank you for bringing it to my attention, yada, yada, yada. Here's some nice, you know, political speak. I'm going to try to get a good spin on this. If you could please keep this dialogue between us, I'd appreciate it. So it's just like another, like, nail in this, like, political nightmare that's happening. And this was, again, like, right before Fantastic Fest. So it just really sucked. And then
Yeah.
the date of the opening party, we find out that Tim's not going to be there, and part of me is like, probably a good thing, because like Mike was like, well, do you really want to see Tim like drinking and having a great time and like making it look like nothing happened? You know?
Right.
It's a solid point.
Yeah,
Now,
no,
some
no,
movies did pull out of this, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
One movie pulled completely out. It was 3 billboards and something
From
something
Missouri, yeah.
in Missouri. It's going to be a fantastic movie. I'm
I'm
positive.
so looking forward to that
Not
movie.
a Fantastic Fest movie.
But it's not a Fantastic Fest movie because the company was like, "There's too much heat here. We're going to pull
Yeah,
out."
and the content was about a sexual assault murder.
interesting.
Right. Yeah. And also a comedy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Frances McDormand's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to watching this movie.
Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson.
Oh, that's right.
Also
Yeah,
starred.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Sam Rockwell. Yeah.
Hell yeah, Rockwell. All the time. Yeah.
So then it's Harry of Knowles of
Harry-
Ain't It
Harry
Cool
Knowles.
News puts out a
The
thing.
largest font in the internet.
I have never actually been to Ain't It Cool News, and so like when this story broke and I actually went there and looked at it, I was like, what GeoCities building motherfucker threw this up on the internet?
It
Like,
hasn't changed in 20 years.
yeah, it's the worst site.
Size
And-
48 font.
and like they have the worst reviews, and like it's gross. It's like
There's a
really-
few
it's like
writers on
seeing
that
your
site that I
parents
love. Like, I
naked in
love
the
the
shower
writers on
having
that
sex
site.
with your grandparents. Gross.
Yeah, it's Harry Knowles. Yeah.
Is it there's some writers that you actually love?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like Quint. Like I love Quint on that site. He is
Sure.
far too talented to be on Ain't It Cool News, and now he's not because he voluntarily withdrew. He and 2 other writers actually.
What a big pain in the ass.
Yeah. So Harry from Ain't It Cool News says, "Oh, in light of this, I'm pulling my sponsorship." So they pulled down the Ain't It Cool News flags, banners
Sure.
from the festival, not
Sure.
flags.
Like his
And-
sponsorship is that.
And he
big of a
said
deal?
some news is going to come out from allegations from an ex-girlfriend of mine, and they're completely unfounded. And I'm like, if all you do is read some of Harry's prior reviews, like, what were the ones that you read, Mike?
Specifically, Blade 2, where he compares the audience to a clitoris, and Guillermo del Toro as the person pleasuring the clitoris.
Sure.
Yes.
The clitory. The
The
clitory.
clitorati.
We're the Clitorati.
Clitorati.
Yeah.
And it's
Um,
the grossest thing
but that's just-
8-year-old me has ever written.
And he was 45 at the time.
And that's just one. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
No, that's always been his thing. He's
There are
just so
several.
weird.
and it pissed me off in the announcement that he put out that said, when he goes, he just goes for the movies and avoids the parties. And that's some fucking bullshit. Because
Yeah.
again, I've been there 9 or 10 years. He's there at the parties. I mean, he's Mr. Ego. He's not going to avoid the parties. He does go to the movies, but he doesn't avoid the parties, like that said. And then more and more allegations came out about him from reliable resources and people that have been within even the Draft House community for 13 years. So,
But these happen. I think these allegations happened after Fantastic Fest started.
Yes.
So like I had been.
Yeah, it was during
I was
the week. Yeah.
in festival mode, so I don't know all of the facts about it, because like if you've ever been, you lose a week of your life to this festival. It's you lose all time. meaning anything. You'll hang out with people, and after about the fourth or fifth day, you just stand in silence because you have literally talked about everything except for what you're going to see next and what you saw last.
Right.
You've talked about all your lives, everything, dreams, aspirations, and you're at that point where at least you're standing with somebody so you know you don't look awkward. And you just want the camaraderie. You just want somebody standing there that you can kind of lean up against and not fall down.
Somewhere between a kindred spirit and someone who also has Stockholm syndrome.
I would say like more
I
like a
am
kindred
full
spirit
Stockholm
and a-
syndrome, so I never stop talking. I'm just like, can we talk about our captor and how much we love him? Can we? Yeah. So I never stop talking.
This is worth it, right? This is worth it, right?
So all these things start layering up.
And obviously there's a lot more. We don't have time to delve like completely into everything that happened leading up to it, but it did present an interesting conundrum for people who were coming. Like a lot of people backed out of the fest before it happened. A lot of critics,
Programmers.
one of the international programmer, Todd Brown, backed out, and he was one of my favorite people of the festival. He always brought great movies. He always brought a great attitude. He was great there, and he backed out. And a lot of people backed out based off of that. But there comes a point when you have to decide: am I going to this, and am I going to this to support everyone, or am I going to this just to watch movies? And I think it boiled down to us in the end. We're going to go out. We're going to watch a bunch of great movies, but we also want to go out there and make sure that everyone is going to have a good time. Everyone's locked in on this, and it's going to be great. And from my perspective as a white privileged male that
With
is
a
not
beard.
white woke, I think it went well. Like everyone was, but with the exception of one person that I talked to, everyone was very receptive of the conversation, of how moving forward. We're going to get the misogyny and boys club out of this festival at the least.
Hopefully not in the vein of taking away the idea of storytelling.
Right. Not to censor,
Yes.
but to remove from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like we can still do our movies. We can still do comedy. We can still talk about it. We can still
We can invite diverse opinions and diverse viewpoints.
Right. But we still need to be out there to support the filmmakers. We need to support the actors. We need to support everyone who has anything to do with anything else besides these dicks who kind of
Yeah.
brought the festival down a couple levels.
Yeah, it just really sucked that there was this black cloud
Yeah.
that didn't have anything to do with the actual festival.
Right.
And it's not blaming any of the victims or anything. It's not blaming
Oh, no.
the reporting. It's blaming the people responsible for bringing this upon everyone else. Like, because this is a very select few group of people that really shit on a lot of people's parade.
Sure.
Well, hopefully the people who are still left behind and work forward to making it better next year don't just go full pussy on the film goer and all those other people involved. I mean,
Right, and that's why...
two dickheads who are misogynist pieces of shit shouldn't ruin everyone else's free speech, cinematography, ideas, movie making ability,
Well, and that's
and film going experience. I mean,
And feeling of
Yeah.
safety and inclusion.
right.
Yes.
Safety inclusion is the problem too, because we're not talking about PC culture, right? We're not talking about like the problem of PC culture, etc. What we're talking about is it's not even slacktivism. You know, it's a moment in time where people say, "Well, Alamo did this. This is Alamo's event. How do we show Alamo that we do not support their actions, and also separate all of these other people's crazy amount of work and
Yeah,
heart and
yeah,
love
yeah.
to try to make something really important that's not related to that. Like that's crazy hard.
especially when, imagine like next year there's a movie about misogyny. Will that be allowed?
Right.
It's still a movie. It still could be a story that needs to be told.
And
Yeah.
they cut stuff from the programming that had already been established, and some of what they cut had already been screened, and people had chose to see it. And
Yeah, I
one
mean-
thing that they chose to cut had nothing to do with the situation whatsoever.
Right.
and for some reason got cut because someone was too sensitive and
Because it got
complained
word,
at
yeah.
a genre film festival that you go to see violence and
Isn't it also kind of
wonderful gore.
interesting that Sony, I guess, who did the 3 billboards in Wisconsin
Sony.
or whatever it's called, Missouri? Isn't it kind of interesting that Sony, because Sony 5 or 10 years ago would be like, controversy? Yeah, let's get right in the middle.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Well, if it's
It's
Sony,
interesting
maybe
that
there
they
just
pulled that
wasn't
out.
enough product placement in the film. So
Sure.
But I think it was, again, I think that was the content, because
Right.
how are they going to put this in a festival which is rife with controversy over
Right.
potential harassment and allegations when it's about sexual assault and rape?
Once upon a time,
I mean,
there was a phrase that said,
That's bad press.
well, once upon a time, I said, there's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
That was the old
Yeah.
idiom.
Any press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No longer, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do shots.
Yeah, so I guess cheers to those who keep making movies. And,
Absolutely.
no matter what.
And those who keep viewing movies. and-
Cheers! This is a little personal cheers. Cheers to the Baddest Batch, our fantastic fest group that we hung out with all week.
That is bad.
So
Bad.
special shout out.
Yeah. All right.
Cheers.
I didn't officially there it is. Cool. Today's sponsor is Lucky's.
Yeah,
Today's
Lucky's.
sponsor is the Stardust app. Make sure to download the Stardust app to share your reactions to movie on social media in a new and improved form.
I don't like any of that.
Stardust app.
Yeah, sorry.
That's real.
yeah, with Lucky's Pizzas
Lucky's
and Pooches. Give us some free food.
On Fifth Street.
Been eating there for a while. I do enjoy what they do, and it's really sweet of them to bring some stuff over.
Impossible
Grab a
Burger
sandwich, say
is
hi.
surprisingly tasty.
Yeah.
Get a pizza.
Go check them out for sure. I think Mike, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Always good to see
Thank
you.
you for having me on the show.
Christina, thanks for talking.
So much. You're welcome.
Sorry, I got distracted by that. Thank you so much for
Random
coming in
soccer
and actually
hooligans.
sharing and being more engaged and not being worried about it.
I would love to have a longer conversation about the
Everything.
About the everything.
conversation of
Sure.
Fantastic Fest.
Sure. Dylan, thanks for helping me run the show. Of course. If you like this show, you want to know more of the show, you can go to drunkcastlive.com, drunkcastlive.com, where you can sign up for a newsletter, and the newsletter has some interesting bits that we don't get a chance to cover, like maybe topics like the rest of, or articles that are related to the controversy here, or just some of the movies that we were talking about tonight. You can go to Twitter. We're at Drunkcast Live on Twitter. We're at Drunkcast Live on Facebook as well. Drunkcast Live pics on Instagram. I did not set up a Snapchat because fuck that. You can go to questions at drunkcastlive.com or 802-359-7468. That's 802-359-SHOT. You can leave a message where we'll answer your questions about anything that you've heard on this show or others, or things you disagree with, or things that you absolutely fucking love. Whatever you like, dude.
Or
But,
hate.
Or hate. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, tune in. You can actually ask your Alexa to play Drunkcast Live. It's the weirdest feature. It's fun because it's there. Check out all those things. If you go to iTunes specifically, you can set up a thing and click on a thing and then put a comment, and that comment might actually boost us if you give us the right rating, if you know what I mean. If you want more people to hear the show, please share it with your friends, because we do we like doing this and we want more engagement. And we think we kind of deserve it, I guess. You know? I mean, we not deserve it like
It's entitlement culture.
You're right.
Let me say, name one other podcast been along as long as we have. Seriously, name one and tell us what it is. Because we've been
Race
around a
Wars.
while.
It's really good.
Race Wars? Okay.
Spontaneous Nation.
Spontaneation's only
That's
been around for a
newer.
couple
No,
years.
that's a newer one.
I'm saying.
Do we get our own plugs?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter. My name is BLEHMENG. I don't post, but follow me anyway.
Sure. Okay.
That's all. That's all
Anything
I
to
have.
plug, Christina?
I've got no
I just want
plugs.
stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm Travis. We love you so much. We'll see you next week.
Never.
We come to let you know what the deal is.